Hello, my name is Kuba and I'm a programmer and a designer.
Hi, my name is Vitek. I'm a graphic designer.
Hey, I'm Mateusz, I'm a content creator.
Hi, I'm Matthew Ritter. I'm a narrative designer.
And together we are My Next Games. Today we decided to talk about one of the newest releases, which will be Hades 2. But first let us talk a bit about Hades 1, because we have some contrary opinions on it. So what is our feedback?
It's an awesomely made game. Very proficiently made, very smooth. I think gameplay can wear you down a little bit. Repetitiveness sneaks in because there is a lot of those different perks, but they often aren't that different from one another. They for example, the critical strikes. You have some kind of critical strike, but you just deal more damage this way. The variety isn't as extensive as in maybe other roguelikes, but the storytelling is absolutely cool. They are able to kind of tell you the story without breaking the pace of the game. You basically play and they pour those little snippets of information into your ear. The pacing of storytelling and gameplay is absolutely masterclass, what I would say. Although it kind of breaks at the end, I feel there is not the proper end. It's hard to get this catharsis feeling you get from the proper movie. You kind of watch a movie or you play a game that is kind of story driven explicitly. At the end of every story there is this finale that kind of gives you this feeling of satisfaction, and I think because Hades is a roguelike, it has problem with that, with wrapping things up.
I never finished Hades 1. I played it for a single weekend. I loved playing it. I love graphics, I love storytelling, I love voice acting, music, I love skills and the way they interact with each other in game and how you can create builds. I love characters, but I always liked Greek mythology. I guess because I was fighting with the final boss or semi-final boss, I don't really know. And that was when this kind of wear that you are talking about got to me, and I just stopped playing at some point because he was kind of oppressive. In general, that's a roguelike problem, and it's part of the genre, I think. So yeah, it's a downside, but it's inherent to this kind of game.
I agree with you. It's they've done a lot to kind of tell story within the roguelike genre, but the genre itself isn't made for a storytelling per se.
I think I would love to play a game of Hades with more linear story and some different mechanics, not roguelike, just some Metroidvania or something like this. But I wouldn't want them to design game like this. I wouldn't want Supergiant to go this way, for example.
So you're a fanboy.
I'm not a fanboy, I like the game.
Yeah, you're a fanboy. Admit it.
I don't really know what it means even.
I think Hades Man is extremely professionally made game. Oh, holy crap, how proficiently is that game made. But it also is kind of safe and kind of very people pleasing. Yeah, it's someone said at certain point, we're making those games and they are kind of strange, especially Pyre, which I kind of I fucking love Pyre, but we need to fucking start selling copies. Let's make Hades. It never is at 100% we're gonna make a hit, but there was some kind of shift, I feel. My problem with Hades is that shift, not the game itself.
Yeah, I mean, you are owner of a development studio. You know that you need to make money to exist, and that's how it works, I think. Yeah.
My problem with Hades is not a problem with the game. It's more of a problem with the path that the studio is taking. And of course, I really loved Supergiant games since Bastion, basically. And Hades for me is this point where things, are getting more formulaic.
Why experimenting is important in game development?
So experimenting is important because you have to marry the something that is tested and that people will like, and you have to explore and find new stuff because you need that wow factor. You need to show something new that haven't been you have to bring something new to the table. The Hades brings the unrivaled quality basically to the table, and this is the edge that brings the new level of polish.
It looks great, it plays great, it sounds great, everything is great.
Yeah. Like the level of proficiency with which that game has been made. And the important thing is also the polish is not the effect of the like a huge team working on it. What is important about like every member of the team had to be like in sync with one another to basically create something like that. They need to understand one another. They need to kind of know how people on the team kind of approach solving the problems to get this kind of level of synchronization. So the AAA studio is unable to kind of reach this kind of synchronization because the approach is very like a factory. It's a very factory approach. Every person is a cog. You can switch out one program. You can switch out one program for another, and the factory should still work. While Supergiant game approach is like this is the team like with decades of experience.
They were building it through 3 games before at least.
Yeah, and they experimented a lot with those games, and this is like kind of why the Hades is so awesome, because they experimented a lot in those previous games, and they brought to the table their experiences, and this what created Hades. For me, Supergiant games always made these strange experiences that were a little bit experimental. Like there was always something strange, new I haven't seen. I miss the experimental stuff they had in a previous game. For God's sake, at the end of the game in Pyre, there was like basically a song that was written based on decision you've made during your adventure.
So I played both Transistor and Bastion, and I loved visuals and music and everything about those games, but in both the gameplay loop was like lacking for me. I mean, it was not for me, not that it was bad, especially in Transistor, but still it was not good enough for me to keep playing it. I mean, engaging, maybe not good.
You wanna use the word addictive, basically, yeah?
No,
fun. Is addictive.
Fun. Yeah, it's probably every game is, and every game tries to occupy your time. We are all fighting for the same. So.
Yeah, I assume, but like I feel like Hades kind of very people-pleasing, it was designed as a people-pleasing experience, The previous games were more like conversation. Those games didn't tell me what I wanted to hear. They told me something intriguing, something strange, something that the experience wasn't as fluent as it is for Hades. Hades is like absolutely frictionless. You play this game and you can realize, oh my god, I've played for 5 hours and I haven't noticed that, because the experience is so frictionless.
Is the ending of Hades 1 disappointing?
Yeah, the problem is I also wasn't able to get to the ending. Like I was able to beat Hades 3 times, I think, and at that point I didn't care enough to basically play more and learn what's actually happening. Why am I dying at the end of the day? I'm spending this spoiler alert. What I feel is implied is that if you do it enough times, you will kind of learn what's actually happening, why you're dying. But I didn't care enough to basically learn that. After I was able to get to her, I was actually, for the first time, I felt like that was the ending of the game, and I did it 2 more times to see if I do it maybe 1-2 more times it will maybe solve itself, but it didn't, and I kind of lost interest.
I didn't finish it, but I think that's the problem with roguelike games for me, that I never finish them fully. Whenever I think about Binding of Isaac, any roguelike game that I played, I didn't finish it really. I never felt that I got all the story or the gameplay.
I think the roguelike games as genre aren't meant to be kind of finished. Those games are more like comfort zone games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every one of us has this comfort zone game that he kind of enters the world and he likes to spend time within it, feel the vibes of the world surrounding you, and maybe, it's like visiting your favorite cafe when you're kind of feeling down or
Yeah. It works like that for me with Binding of Isaac or Nuclear Throne.
It's the best approach I've seen for sure to kind of match the story and roguelike. I haven't seen anything as good as Hades, but the Hades itself has its own problems.
So was it disappointing? Yes and no. I don't know. It always meant to be disappointing, I think. Yeah.
Hades 2 looks a lot like the previous game. Is it okay, or maybe you were hoping for something different?
I wasn't hoping. we're not 100% sure that it's the same. There are for sure improvements to the formula because they learned stuff during Hades 1 and they probably improved on Hades 2. Hades 2 is kind of what I'm kind of afraid of. This is starting to get more and more formulaic. You know, this is how the genres and how the games die. When things become formulaic, you know, people kind of start to demand that the game looks in a certain way. A lot of like my beloved genre of RTS is kind of dying because of that. Because it became too formulaic.
I don't know. I like a good trilogy, and it's not common that I get one because I don't know. For example, Batman and Arkham series, I loved the first one. I did not love the second one, even though it was theoretically the same game, just bigger. And I think that from what I was playing with Hades 2, it's dense in those events and characters, and I like it. So maybe, I think that in this case, I will like it.
You're kind of okay with getting basically something very similar to the Hades one, but just slightly bigger and more dense. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Fuck, I think I wouldn't care if I'd get second part of a good game that's just another story and it works like a comic book, you know, whenever I buy one every month and just read it because I enjoy it. So even if it's not that much bigger or something, it's still okay for me.
Selling early access games, cool for players or just a form of testing for developers?
I don't buy early access games.
I do. I think that I bought about, I don't know, 15 or 20 games in my history on Steam in early access, and I was okay with most of them. I don't think I was ever disappointed. If it's okay, I don't know. I enjoy, for example, Hades 2. I enjoy the fact that I'm seeing some rough sketches and how it works. You can see the belly of the game, and I really like this part of early access.
Okay, I get it. Well, from the developer's perspective, early access, if you can pull it off, this is kind of important.
Yeah.
It's a cool approach because it allows you to basically get feedback from people, make your game better. At the same time, keep interest in the game because you're releasing new updates. People are kind of following, but this basically doubles the amount of work you have to do. Your every build has to be polished. You cannot make a sloppy build and just to check out stuff.
I think that from perspective of player, it's always easy to get disappointed with early access game. So what you said is kind of true. It works for some groups of products. It won't work for some other products. Like if you
for example,
going for some narrative thing, then it may be sketchy to put it. It may be cool for players. It might be cool for developers, indie developers, but AAA developers are exploiting this system.
The truth is,
it doesn't work.
Not only AAA. There are a lot of
flip assets flips,
not only asset flips, but there are a lot of abandoned, from the business perspective, from the brutal business perspective.
On economy.
Yeah,
in general.
Yeah, you can basically launch your game, see if there is interest, and basically abandon it if there isn't. So normally you would have you would need to finish the game and launch it, and so the players can kind of judge it. This way you can basically slash your costs of development.
And final thoughts. Was the success of Hades 1 well deserved, and can Hades 2 achieve the same?
Yeah, it was well deserved, I think. Maybe it wasn't a super innovative game, because the truth is, Hades is, I feel when I look at Hades, I feel it is a summary of all the experiences the team of the Supergiant Games team got from throughout the years working on different games. The perspective is similar to Transistor. The interactive storytelling is kind of borrowed from Pyre, I think. The way of sipping the story into your ear with small snippets of information with little comments was introduced in Bastion. Basically Hades takes all that, puts it into one thing, and basically delivers super high-end polish. And for that, this game is awesome.
Okay, so I kind of agree, but I think that they took industry standard and punched it up a bit, and that's what I like about this game. So Hades 2 is kind of hard because for me personally, it will achieve the same because I had no expectations, and I don't know if it's gonna sell the same as Hades 1, if it's gonna be a success again or not. That's
I
another
think
problem.
it's gonna sell
the
much
game-
better than Hades 1 because, like, as
Yeah.
like the new game with a new idea always has a problem. Like, there is something you don't know it, you don't yet have like a. You already know what is Hades. The promise of that game is we are bringing you just like a better Hades 1, and this pitch is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
While Hades
agree.
1 had to kind of tell you, hey, we're this Greek mythology game, we're a roguelike with storytelling, and it had to put much more effort to kind of presenting itself to the player, while Hades 2 has like an easier way, because like everyone is interested in Hades 2, because like the Hades 1 was a smashing success, so, and financially for sure.
And it's fun that you already have like extended universe attached to this franchise.
People loved Hades 1 and they will want to see what happens next. I know that I'm a little bit like the thing is that formula, every formula has like a limitation, has its own limitation, and every formula will at a certain point become a little bit stale, you know. And the question is, what happens when Hades formula, runs out of fuel?